We are live. Uh, Hi, guys. Welcome to PropTechBuzz. Welcome to our AMA session with Odun Osineye. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The co-founder of Hiyalo Technologies. Hi, Odun. It's nice to have you here. It's nice to have you join us
Yeah,
today.
thank you,
My name
Desmond.
is yeah. My name is Desmond. I'm the ambassador for Africa at PropTechBuzz and the MENA region. So a quick one about PropTechBuzz. We are a global marketing service company focused on showcasing PropTech products all over the world, both in Africa, in Europe, in the US, and wherever they may be all over the world. Before our audience of PropTech enthusiasts, PropTech VCs, C-level executives, it's just like a global community, right? A global community, right? And I have Odun here. Odun, you have an interesting background. So when I was reading your LinkedIn profile today, I saw that you started your career, as an intern with with Recyclers Corporation, right, which is a social housing. If that's correct. So,
Yeah.
can you please run us a bit of yeah,
Okay.
background on that, right? Can you just like
Uh,
expand on
yeah.
that,
So I
please?
mean, that's actually a very long journey. That internship happened when I was in school at the University of Lagos. I was
Yeah,
studying law. As I
yeah,
studied law at the University of Lagos, but
okay,
even as a law student, I was very, very sure that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I took a couple of internships,
yeah,
just learning how to build businesses, basically with startups. And so that was one of them. Yeah. So I was an intern at
yeah,
WeCyclers. It was a recycling business. I had a recycling company on campus at the time. And so, yeah, I
okay,
decided to intern with that
yeah,
recycling company, just how it works.
okay, okay. Because when I read it, it said Recyclers is a social enterprise that works with low income household. You know, so you went on to build a PropTech startup. So I was just trying to create a connection. If that background was what later shaped you in taking the direction that you took. I don't know if my guess is correct. Okay, that's
Not
it.
exactly.
And
Not ex-
you have an interest. Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, oh, okay. So you have an interesting background, right? You see that, yeah. So I was saying that you have an interesting background, right? So you've founded a company before, a technology company, a crypto technology company. You
Yeah.
you've been the growth manager of two startups, right? Two startups, right? And one of these startups, which is Credly, has been backed by notable VCs like
Yeah.
microtraction, right? So that shows like a quite a strong background, right? So you have background in financial and education. So my question to you now is, how did you now, or why did you now choose, PropTech, right? How did you arrive at
Okay.
PropTech? Like, what was it like?
All right. So I think that, yeah, from my background, one thing that is common is that I'm a problem solver, right? So what is common is that I identify
Okay,
problems, very enthusiastic about providing solutions to those problems. That was exactly what I did
yeah,
at Recyclers. That's what I did at Gradely. That's what I did at my stash. And so for me, it's really just about identifying a problem, um, analyzing that problem and trying to figure out if I'm the right person to solve that problem. And that's basically how PropTech happened. Hiyalo happened because I stumbled on a video that was done by the managing director of a mortgage bank in Nigeria, and he had spoken about the
okay,
possibility of getting a mortgage as a young Nigerian that is earning as little as
yeah,
200,000 naira a month. and I tried to apply for that mortgage. When I got to their website, there was
yeah,
no way to apply. Then I went on LinkedIn to check for anyone who works at the bank to make inquiries. When I did, they sent me a very long list of documents that I was supposed to bring to the bank, and this was in 2022.
yeah.
I thought, hey, that doesn't make sense. In 2022, there should be an application that allows you to apply for mortgage and sort of be able to complete the process remotely. And that was how I started thinking about building the solution that could do that. And of course, when I jumped into the research, that eventually led us to launching with Rent Finance in January 2023.
Okay, okay. So, because yeah, so you're correct. You did mention of the fact that at this stage the process trying to access some of these mortgages is still sort of like it looks like we are in 2000, right? In the year 2000, which makes what you're building really interesting, right? So I think my next question is how has the journey been? Because when you're trying to build greatly, you guys recorded some success. I think you guys have a startup at some point where you guys had like 100 users. You built it to 10K, which is really remarkable, right? I think greatly raised some money. I think about 140K. I'm not so sure if I'm getting that figure correctly, right? But building, Hiyalo technologies, it's I would like to know, right? Did you trying to bootstrap the company, even though you guys have what you guys are doing is quite innovative in a lot of ways, you've not really witnessed that sort of thing, right? So, but what was it like, trying to talk to investors? Is it they don't? Is it that is it trying to talk to investors, trying to get them to see your vision, over time, their reply, right? Going back, building the product, having to realize that sometimes you have to, bring it to life. You have to, generate as much success as you did with Greatly, probably before people begin to understand where you're coming from. So basically, I think my question is, how has it been like, trying to bootstrap the company, right? How has it been like?
Okay, yeah. Okay, just to put the facts right, yeah. With Gradely, we actually raised over
Yeah.
$500,000 um, at Gradely, and
Oh, that's great.
we did some very interesting things. We had over 1,000 teachers. We had like several schools plugged in, thousands of students
Yeah.
before I left. And then when I moved on to my stash, you also mentioned, um, you know, growing, because I think you must have read an article I wrote where I wrote about how we grew my stash from less than 50 users to 10,000 users in 3 months.
Yeah.
We went to push that to about 30,000 users in about 12 months and a profitable exit in
Yeah.
18 months, right? Just to set those facts right for you. But
Yeah.
with Yalo, the question is what's the journey been like as far as fundraising and
Yeah.
funding is concerned, right? So
Yes.
it's been a very interesting journey. We have raised some money, so we're not like fully bootstrapped. But I think the interesting thing is that within the last 1 year, 2 months,
Yeah.
we've been in operation. Aside from the fact that we did a very small family and friends
Okay.
round, about $40,000, we
Yeah.
we are
Okay.
also at a place where we're generating revenue, reasonable enough revenue to actually cover the cost. But that's not enough
Yeah.
for us, right? Because right now we're still actually
Yeah.
fundraising. We're currently engaging investors to close out our pre-seed round of $300,000, and that's looking really good for us. So I don't know. I hope that
Okay.
that sort of answered your question around what the journey has been with fundraising.
Yeah.
Just to be a bit more specific, right? So we've got an angel group. We have a partner as Sahel Capital,
Yeah.
currently an investor in Hiyalo. We have Diaspora Angel Network, currently an investor at Hiyalo, and we're also currently engaging a number of like early stage VCs to
Yeah.
to move our
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah. So you sort of answered my question, because giving your background. Apologies for mistaking your last raise in your last startup. You guys was 500. I mistakenly said 140. Right? But given your pedigree, right, being able to raise, your company to, $500,000 in investment, being able to grow users, right, from 15 to 10K, right, being able to have this network, right. So I'm sure that moving forward, people would it will be easier to get the confidence of people to understand that to get perspective as to your competence, right, your ability to make things work, right. So I think the reason why I asked the question is because we're going to see founders who they have this idea, they have this solution they want to solve, they move into the market, right, and they may not they may not have as much experience that you experience that I mean is not just work experience, it's just also network experience. So we don't know some of these VCs, they don't have some of these advantages, right? So, but what they know is okay, I see a problem, I want to build, I want to go to the market, right? So when I asked that, what was it like bootstrapping? Right? I think the answer I was looking for was what should they expect, as a founder, having to talk to users, having to keep up, they're having to take two roles at once. You're the CEO, you're also the salesperson, you're also this. Those are some of the things that first time founders sort of miss. What is the word? Overlook, right? When they are trying to build the product, right? And their dreams die before they come to life, right? So that was the question I was actually hoping to get answers to.
all right. Um, and can you be a bit more like clear? Like I'm not quite um,
Okay.
I'm not quite clear on like
Okay.
what exactly you want me to respond. So
Okay. Okay. So, um, so you guys have, you guys were able to raise about 40K from family and friends, which is impressive, right? It's impressive. Aside from the fact that they're family and friends, I know that whatever your background is, people putting that amount of money into your enterprise is an indication that you have a pedigree that they can trust you, right? You have a pedigree that they can trust you, right? So with this amount of money, you have been able to scale to the extent that you are in, right? And then I'm sure that the next thing, of course, is to try to raise more from your network, right? But as you are progressing, right, the point of Bootstrap is that you have this big vision, but you don't have a lot of resources, so you are making do with what you have, right? So in making do with what you have, there are a lot of lessons that you learn along the way, right? So in the next 2 years, next one year, the next 6 months, you may hear that Hiyalo has raised, 300K, raised 1 million, right? So then someone will come into that place that you were once in. Someone will try to build a company, right, and experience the similar problems that challenges that you are currently facing. So my question is, what has it been like during those periods when you raised those 40K, which is not like the expectation of what you would want to have raised, right? Having to make do without money, right? Having to talk to investors, having to go to the market, right? What has it been like for you? So that someone who is coming to the space can have better perspective of what to look out for. I don't know if I was clear.
okay, yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty. Um, I would say fundraising generally is a fundraising is generally challenging, depending on the
Yeah?
stage that you are or like where you're coming from, right? When you speak about bootstrapping, in all in reality, like Hiyalo is not like 100% fully bootstrapped. Maybe prior to launch,
Okay.
we did some bootstrapping, right? So if I'm going to be speaking to maybe someone else who is trying to get into the space, um, I
Yeah.
would say, I mean, just like every other entrepreneurial venture, right? You want to do a lot of research. You want to figure out like what is required before
Yeah.
you jump in, um, and whichever way you intend to choose to fund your business.
Yeah.
So you could say you want to bootstrap. So bootstrap would mean maybe you have some money of your own, or you maybe to get some
Yeah.
family and friends money, get the business up and running and stuff like that. On the other hand, you could go like what we are doing right now, backed by
Yeah.
angel investors and
Yeah.
VCs, right? So I think ultimately it comes down to the entrepreneur or the founder to figure out like what their strengths, what the weaknesses are, and marry that with the realities of the market, the realities of the business,
Yeah.
and the market that they operate in. I don't
Yeah.
know if
I,
if that helps, right? In our own context, I think we've done
yeah.
pretty okay. We have a very small team. We don't have a
Yeah.
large budget as you would expect for an early stage company. We are also like very
Yeah.
intentional about how much equity we sell. So um,
Yeah.
in reality, Hiyalo as a company is like we're quite good. We're good in the last. We've existed for just about a year, 2 months now.
Yeah.
Um, we are not only generating revenue, enough revenue to keep us alive, and now we're just getting ready to get back into the market so that we can scale. So it was intentional to raise a little bit of money, learn as much as possible, figure out a bunch of stuff in the market, create a product that um, that has a very clear value prop and also has a
Yeah.
very clear business model, and then go out to raise funding to sort of scale that. And that's exactly what we're doing now. So I hope that that would help
Yeah.
someone who's trying to get into the space, and maybe also shed a little bit more light about like
Yeah.
how we are going about it over here at Yale.
Yeah. I think your answer is clearer this time around. I think that should put that matter to rest. So let's just quickly talk about Hiyalo, right? Let's talk about Hiyalo. You see that Hiyalo offers rent financing, right?
Yeah,
It's a really unique value prop, right? So if you look at Nigeria, what we have is, we've had instances where people go to rent their homes and eventually they can't pay. Right? So what is the alternative? You start running into issues with your landlord and stuff like that. Right? So now you guys are offering an opportunity for people to, access, if I understand what is going on, access rent credit, right? So could you please just expand on that? Just touch more on that. Let's have a perspective to what you guys are planning.
yeah. So today, Yellow solves two critical problems, right? First is the rent finance.
Yeah,
First is rent financing, and what that basically means is that in this market, in major cities in Africa, rent is basically paid annually, right? And what that means is that you pay rent once in a year to the landlord. And the problem with that is that will require you to pay a lump sum, right? So it means that paying your rent is a huge responsibility, right? So you have to pay rent for the entire 12 months all at once. That can be a huge task, but it can be difficult for people to sort of pay, and that's because majority earn their income on a monthly basis, right? So if you're earning your income monthly, why are you paying your rent annually, right? Um, But of course, that the answer to that why a lot of landlords and builders and property managers definitely have answers to that. They are trying to hedge against inflation. They're also trying to sort of guarantee that income, right? If a person is paying their rent monthly, for example, sometimes default rates can be high if there is no system to automate that collection, and that's where Hiyalo comes in. So the very first thing that we
Yeah,
did was to launch a rent financing solution that allows banks to provide finance directly to the renter. And the way that works is we have a core lending software. We have also gone to banks and closed banks. And so we connect these banks to our core lending software, allow potential renters to apply for the finance. We will do a first leg of verification and then send the data to the bank. Of course, we are helping the bank to reduce all of the work that is required with verifying the tenant, because we have done that with our core lending software, verifying the landlord, verifying the apartment, and also doing a credit check to confirm that the tenant is actually able to pay their rent monthly. The moment all of that has been confirmed, and the application approved, we then pay the money directly to the landlord. So we end up satisfying both parties, right? Landlord wants to collect their money annually, we pay that upfront. Tenant wants to pay
yeah,
their rent monthly, we pay that. And then what our technology now does is it allows us to automate the collection. So we can charge a tenant's salary account every single month, right? And so before you even get your salary out of your bank, Yalo has already taken out your rent, right? So that way you don't have to
yeah.
be accountable to even yourself, because Yalo automatically debits your account and ensure that your rent is paid on a monthly basis. Right? In addition to that,
Yeah.
we are able to build rent score. Right? We're able to generate rent score, or what in it's more publicly known today as rent as credit score. Right? So we are building rent score for our tenants, and with that rent score, we are then able to now provide financing for home ownership, right, in the future. So over a 3 years period, the tenants can build rent score on Yalo that will qualify them for now getting mortgage finance, and so they can then go ahead and own their own homes. That's pretty much what we do today. We have a second product that is called it's an apartment search product, right? So what that does is that
Yeah.
it allows anyone to chat with a WhatsApp bot and then is able to find an apartment
Okay.
anywhere in Lagos. Of course, we're going to be scaling that outside of Lagos very soon, but for now, you can find an apartment on Yalo by chatting with our bot. The bot automatically connects you to an agent in less than 2 minutes, and then of course you can request for rent finance.
Yeah. So I find really interesting the second value prop, having to chat with an AI bot. I think the
Yeah,
last time I was in Lagos, I was trying to get a ride, so I used an app and I was chatting with the bot and it was telling me, if you want to go to this place, take a ride from here to here. So I think users will find that really, really interactive, especially given the fact that they have to talk to agents that are very, very fraudulent, right? So having to talk
yeah,
to a bot would, you know, link you up with a verified or a more competent agent is going to be. So because I was going to, trying to see like what is the unique value because I've seen, companies build, rentals, right? They offer rental solutions. So now I'm seeing what you have explained. I'm like, okay, so you guys have it. You guys have it. It's a bit different. So talk to me. I think the next question I'm going to ask you is the opportunities, right? So what do you guys see? Like, if I was to ask you, like a question, what do you guys see? How do you guys see yourself really helping Nigerians live better in the next 5 years, right? The next 10 years, right? What do you imagine is an ideal situation for a user who wants to rent a place? Right? Coming from the Hiyalo perspective.
Okay, so I see your questions from two angles, right? What do we see? Where do we
Yeah,
see ourselves in the next 5, 10 years? Like, what's the big picture for Hiyalo? Like, where exactly are we going?
yeah,
And then I also hear you ask a little something similar from the renter's perspective, right? So I'll
yeah,
start from the
yeah,
renter's perspective because, like, I mean, that's the customer. Renting an apartment or finding an apartment on Yellow is pretty simple, right? You visit the website www.hiyalo.com, and if you're trying to find an apartment, click on the apartment search button, and then that directly sends you to WhatsApp, where you can now chat to the bot. The bot basically asks you a few questions, like what location do you want to? Are you trying to find an apartment in? What type of the apartment? Gives you options. You want a two-bedroom, one-bedroom, three-bedroom apartment, and we also ask you for your budget, right? So those are the three um,
yeah,
core areas that the bot asks questions around. So it asks you for your budget, and when you provide that data, it then collects your name, your phone number, your email. It sends that data to us. Then the bot then goes to our database. So we have a database of about 1,000 agents now. It goes to the database and then looks for agents that
yeah,
fits into the profile of the data that you have provided. In other words, you tell the bot that
yeah,
I want a two-bedroom flat in Lekki and my budget is 4 million. It takes that data to our um, da- database of agents, and then it looks for the agent that has a two-bedroom flat in Lekki, and they're within the budget range, and then it takes your data and sends it to that agent, and then the agent is able to then contact you, and then maybe show you the property and stuff. So that's what it looks like to find an apartment on Hiyalo.
yeah,
For rent financing, it's a very simple. You visit the website, you click on pay your rent monthly, and then um, you'll fill the form. The form basically collects basic data like your basic KYC, and then we also
yeah,
verify where you work. We ask you to confirm where you work. Once we confirm that, we also check your credit history. We find out, confirm that you're actually credit worthy. Then we also collect data of like your landlord and stuff like that. Once you confirm all of that, approval typically happens within 24 to 48 hours, and then of course you can have your rent paid. So that's simple as that.
yeah,
For the other side of the question, which has to do with the big picture for Hiyalo, Hiyalo,
yeah,
we're thinking really big. We imagine that we could, with the big problem in Nigeria or in Africa really has to do with home ownership. Home ownership in Nigeria, for example, is at 25%, right? That's extremely low. We have a very limited number of people that actually own their homes, and you have about 80% of 80 uh, to 80 plus percent um, of people actually renting homes, right? Especially in the urban cities.
yeah,
And that's one of the reasons why we launched out and focused on rent because it's a bigger market. And then we want to gradually grow the home ownership market. Long term for us, we want to productize homes in Africa, right? We want to in the next 2 to 3 years own our own mortgage license and become a mortgage bank in
okay,
Nigeria. And then with the bank, we are able to now pull in enough cash to productize homes. And what I mean by productizing homes means that we want to build a factory that can produce homes on an assembly line and then deliver homes faster and cheaper than it's being done today, right? A very good example of that would be Tesla homes, where you can actually access a two-bedroom flat in the US for $10,000. Now that's ridiculous. That's literally almost something that
yeah,
has never been done before.
yeah,
So that's the long term. plan for Hiyalo in Africa?
Yeah. So I find that really interesting because I was watching a video some days back on YouTube on some of these homes that you did mention of. I think they are called the prefabricated homes, if I'm getting that correctly.
Pretty
Some of
much.
these homes where they are assembled in the factory and then they come to the location. Sorry, they are built in your factory, in the factory, sorry. And they come to your location and then they assemble them, and you have them in less than a day or stuff like that. So that's going to be an ambitious project. Really looking forward to seeing that become a reality, right? Looking forward to see that become a reality because if
It
you look at
will be
it,
a reality.
um,
Um, it will.
no, it should, because it should because if we go by what you are saying, which I agree with, which is that 25% of Nigerians own homes, right? And if you look at the reality on the ground, which is that getting a home right now is becoming more expensive than getting a home 5 years ago, right? And the rate at which it is becoming expensive, is the percentage is quite high, right? So it makes natural sense that people begin to explore, you know, the power of using technology to explore alternative approaches, right, to making homes accessible to everybody, right? So I think my next question is uh, what uh, what do you guys how do you guys what are your plans for other markets? Have you guys begin to explore other markets, other cities in Nigeria? Right? Because you guys are in Lagos, so currently I stay in Kodogu, right? And real estate problems are very prevalent. Right? If I'm getting renting a home in Enugu, I used to have a friend who told me that if you want to rent your home in Enugu, you have to like plan ahead, 3 months ahead. It's not just something you wake up and say, I want to go and look for a house. You need to plan 3, 4 months ahead. Right? You are at the mercy of the tenant, right? You have to walk all around the city, you know, you rent the house. Sometimes you have to pay for 2 years, right? Which is, I believe, which is you guys have the intention of making some of these things, uh, sort of like offloading the burden on tenants, right? Financially, right? But you have to pay sometimes after 2 years, right? And what else? Because of the fact that it is, it is largely a civil servant state. So what it means is that a lot of people, earn by the end of the month, right? So what better way to pay for your rent than by the end of the month, right? And there are sister cities like not everywhere is like Lagos, so it has a lot of commercial, you know, compulsion, if I should use that kind of word, right? So there are sister cities like Enugu, like Kaduna, like Ilorin, like so like what are your growth plans, or should I call it strategy? I don't call it strategy. What are the growth plans for some of these cities? How do you plan to incorporate them into your grand vision, right? How do you, or are there been plans? Are you guys just test running with Lagos? Or, no? I think that's my next question.
Yeah, cool. So, yes, we launched in Lagos, but we do have plans to expand. One of the things that we focus on at Hiyalo is the technology. And what that means, what that helps us to do is that it gives us the power of skill, it gives us the ability to scale. And the way our core lending is built today is such that we focus on the technology, we get the finance from the bank, and then we own the customer. And because majority of the banks,
Yeah.
especially the small banks, only will give finance to people within their geographical location. And what Yalo has
Yeah.
done is that our software allows us to provide that finance um, to people outside of our geographical location. So I'll give you an example. You live in Enugu, right? I could come into Enugu on
Yeah.
Monday, for example, to launch. And for us to launch in Enugu, all we need is to go into Enugu and then close a bank in that location, right? Provide the technology for them to not only accept application, pre-qualify applications, um, check, assess people's credit history, credit data, and then finance people in that location. And even also, our technology allows us to collect, sort of auto debit uh, on our customers' accounts so that funds are safe. So yes, we do have plans to expand, and the way our business is built is in such a way that expansion is like super easy. So over the next 2 to 3 years, we should actually be getting ready to actually get out of Nigeria and launch in places like Ghana, um, South Africa, and the likes.
Okay. Uh, Odun, I think we are getting to the end of this podcast. It's been super insightful. You know, I personally have learned a lot. I believe that those who are watching have had a thing or two to learn. So I have to take you back to the bootstrapping question. It was really it was really important. I felt like founders who come to this space don't have like a roadmap, right? And so for someone who has been in this space like yourself, you can sort of like give like a guidance through your answers. Uh, I think we have to allow you move to your uh, other important engagements. So happy that you're able to join us. Uh, I wish you good luck with Hiyalo.
All right, thank you very much, Desmond.
I'm rooting for you guys. Hope that have a great day.
Thank you, Desmond.
If there's something else you'd like to
You too.
say.
Well, thank you very much, Desmond.
Yeah.
Very nice chatting
Yeah.
with you.
All right.
Good weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. The pleasure is mine. Have a nice day.